So, Bitcoin SV is named for Satoshi vision because there was a particular vision that birthed Bitcoin about what it could do as the world's new money, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, but also its blockchain to power so much change in the world for both enterprises and billions of people across the world, because that's what Craig always has said and hoped would be the number of people using Bitcoin. Not just a small world of crypto hobbyists, billions and billions of people across the world. He has an incredibly powerful vision for how Bitcoin can change the world. Please help me welcome Dr. Craig S. Wright.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. You've seen some great things, and I'll tell you it's a drop in the ocean. We've been scaling and concentrating on that for a while, but that's the start. Nobody understood my white paper. They still don't. In the next conference, you're going to learn why addresses. You're going to learn why nodes are the way they are. You're going to start to learn what Bitcoin really is. The first part is it has to scale. In Genesis next year, we will scale Bitcoin to beyond every other blockchain combined. We will scale, and then we will keep scaling. My goal isn't 2 gigabytes. I want to see Bitcoin able to handle 10 billion plus transactions per second, and it can. I want to see Bitcoin become the global backbone of all commerce. And there's a reason why. It's very simple. Because we want an honest world. When I started, I looked at different economies, I looked at different things around the world, and one of those was actually Korea. In 3 generations, Korea has basically changed from what was a small backwater to a global powerhouse. And they did this by using subsidies. The government governed. It was interactive, and it basically picked industries, it built them, and then it backed off and left them to compete. And now we have companies here like Samsung, we have Hyundai, we have global steel manufacturers that have taken away the steel development out of Sheffield in England because they've done it better and they've competed more. And they did that because the subsidies were removed. And Bitcoin, we're removing the subsidy. We're going to let nodes and businesses start to compete. That's why we have a subsidy in Bitcoin, so that people transmit themselves over to the model of having to pay fees. Very small fees. But a system now where we can record everything. And this is why it's really important. We record everything so that we don't have fraud, so that we don't have dishonesty. Back in 2010, I made a comment. I basically said, imagine if you have gold, and that gold is stolen. And once you alert people, it becomes a bare grey metal. But when it's returned, it's back to gold. Blockchain is immutable, but that doesn't mean you can take it and get away with crime. It means you have an immutable audit trail. Audit trails have been there, changeable, but immutable for a long time. And Bitcoin, BTC, BSV, all of these can be kept honest. Because honest, 15 times used in the white paper, is what it's really about. I want you to imagine a world where people actually put down their educational qualifications, whether or not they have a degree, because they have the right certificates, they have the right training, and they have the right references by people who will stand by what they say. I want you now to imagine a world where crime is incentivized to die. I created Bitcoin after being an auditor, after working on companies who had been defrauded, working on people embezzling money, people taking the hard work of others and getting away with it. And how they did that was because ledgers, the multiple books, there would be Andersons rushing around madly deleting Enron files so that people wouldn't see the crime, so that they would cover their own asses. It's a world where Bernie Madoff could have many sets of books and get away with it. And I think it's time that changes. I think it's a time where we can start to trust each other as peers, and we can transmit data and not worry about our computers. Computer hackers break in right now, and they succeed because they delete logs. The first thing any APT does is delete access records. It hides itself. In a future world of Bitcoin, no one will ever hide any trail of what they've done. If you hack a server, it will be recorded eternally. It will be audited eternally. And you will be traced anywhere, anytime, to the ends of this earth. If you break in and you steal $1, it will be worthwhile to have people hunt you down to get that money back. The audit trail will be there so that if they can recover your information, someone can act as a bounty hunter virtually and get it. And there's no way to remove that. It's a world without blackmail. In 2011, I wrote a number of things about Anonymous. I complained. I said, these guys are terrible for the world. And I had staff, some of which actually had connections. And I spent years having my email, my servers, everything broken into. I don't want that world for anyone else. When H.B. Gary said they would expose Anonymous, Anonymous came back and attacked and wrecked that company and their reputation. That's not going to happen in the future. Every single one of these people acting as cyber vigilantes will be traced. But even now, physical crime, most of it is related to payments. When someone blackmails you, they do it for money. If you can, after the event, hand over a signed transaction proving that someone blackmailed you, anywhere in the world you'll be able to start tracing people. Kidnapping occurs because of money. If we tokenize all value and we have it on a ledger, the next time someone commits a crime where they kidnap someone, they're going to be traced. They're going to have a record that will follow them permanently for eternity, where people can self-insure by taking out money to stop crime, where people can provably show the record. We now have a world that will enable us to create something where we can be honest, where we can work together, and we can fight everything that's happening with cyber vigilantes who think they get to take everything into their own hands. A world where criminals think that that's a business model, where they can take away from our children, where they can devalue the education, where they can devalue the lives of all our families. I'm going to say, I want to see people build applications that help everyone stay honest, that tracks what we're doing privately, not so that the government surveils us, so that we have a record of what happens. And we, as peers, can act together to make the world better, where we can interact to ensure that we're honest, where we can build and be rewarded for what we do, where we know that my creation is going to be something that I get to choose how I do something with, where when you build something and I want to use it, I can get payments down to the fraction of a cent that will be required for many things to actually work. And I want you to start thinking how we make a world where we can open up interaction not to our neighbors, but to our global neighbors, where we don't worry because we have to work in a small confined area, but now we can serve everyone everywhere, where we can get people to work for us and we can work for them, and we can truly actually interact globally. There's a reason Bitcoin was peer-to-peer. Bitcoin is peer-to-peer because people talk to people. They're the peers. That's why we had IP to IP. IP to IP was all about individuals talking to other individuals. It was never about a dev-run central system. It's about connecting personally to everyone that you want to connect to, and privately keeping the transaction records for that. A system that records all the wrongdoings of the world and disincentivizes them. When a policeman takes a bribe, it will be recorded. When a government official takes money to grease the wheels, it will be recorded. I see a future where every misdeed is known. That's what Bitcoin's about. Thank you.